Hi guys, it's Miss Vinian with Flip Video 3 for the Cold War. I want you to look at the unit essential question, because we haven't talked about it in a while, and how does fear threaten freedom? So really think about how do all these fears that we've talked about threaten all the liberties and freedoms that we have. Alright, video learning targets today are 7.2, specifically going to talk about arms development, and 7.4, we're going to talk about the policy. We've already talked about containment to retaliation and brinkmanship. Alright, so how are they going to contain communism? We've already talked about containment. The way they're going to do that is by having a strong economy, what we call massive retaliation, brinkmanship, and covert operations, which would be the CIA. And this is when the CIA was created. The CIA is your secret word for today, so when I ask for it during class, the first person that can give it to me is going to win. Alright, economy. The U.S. had to show the world that free enterprise could produce a better society than communism. It kind of goes back to the idea of the Berlin Wall, and we talked about that. And on one side, you have freedom, and on the other side, it's very restrictive. So they want to show through economy now that a better society and the more prosperous society would be capitalism. And they think that this is going to prevent communism from gaining support. So let's talk about massive retaliation and what that is. Massive retaliation is basically the military is going to spend a whole lot of money. That's what you need to know. Military spending was cut from $50 billion to $34 billion, and instead of what they do is they're going to increase their nuclear arsenal. So they're going to spend a lot more money on bombs, okay, instead of maybe on people. So 1,000 bombs to 18,000 nuclear bombs. So, and we're going to see, that's what massive retaliation means. So let's think it. We're going to stop spending as much on Army personnel, and we're going to spend more on nuclear weapons, which is going to lead us to brinkmanship. And this is the willingness to go to the brink of nuclear war to force the other side back down. So think of it this way. If you are okay with dropping a bomb on somebody just to get the other side to back down, that's called brinkmanship, on the brink of war. Some examples would be the Korean War, which we're going to talk about, and then the Taiwan crisis, which we'll also talk about. So both of those things lead to what we call an arms race. And the arms race, it's basically the two countries are going to go back and forth trying to get the best weapons. So the U.S. becomes more powerful than the Soviets. So the Soviets stock up their arms. When we say arms, we're talking about weapons, and specifically nuclear weapons. They become more powerful than the U.S. The U.S. builds more arms, and they become more powerful than the Soviets. Then the Soviets going to build more arms, and they're going to become more powerful than the U.S. It's just back and forth. Once one has something, the other one gets it. Then the other one gets something better, then the other one wants that one as well. Alright, so that's going to lead us, this is actually a mushroom cloud for atomic bomb. So it starts with the atomic bomb, will end with the hydrogen bomb. Alright, so the arms race, make sure you know the definition, is the race to develop new and more powerful weapons. And this is called nuclear deterrence. So basically, trying to deter people from causing you problems through the hydrogen bomb, ICBMs, which are called intercontinental ballistic missiles. Write that down. Intercontinental ballistic missiles. And MAD, which is mutual assured destruction. That means if one country drops a bomb on the other one, then the other country is going to drop a bomb, and mutually they will both be destroyed. Brinkmanship, which we just talked about, and this is the beginning of our explorations in space. So the Russians launched Sputnik, which is a satellite, and the Americans freaked out thinking that the Russians could see everything that they're doing. Americans realized that Soviet nuclear missiles can reach the U.S., and that's through not just the nuclear weapons, but the ICBMs. So intercontinental would mean that it goes on one continent, and it can fly to the next continent, okay? So this is actually a picture of one of the hydrogen bomb testings. Alright, so this is a picture of the ICBM and what that looks like. This is nuclear warhead. And like this, those are what go in the ICBM, okay? And that's what it looks like launching. That's a smaller one. All right. So each line represents a re-entry vehicle. That means that it's an ICBM, and it's equal to 25 of Hiroshimas, okay? And this is like where you can see this is where they have the ICBM, and then underground, all that goes on. Alright, and so here's another picture that we have here that shows you the torpedoes in storage. So this is actually a submarine that is carrying these launch missiles. and they shoot them. They just can go over to the ocean near the continent that they want, and they can shoot these put in coordinates and they will go to that country. So those are very dangerous. People are really afraid of those, more so than the huge nuclear bomb. They're afraid of those, but people are less likely to drop those. ICBMs were definitely more scary at that point, even though they're not as powerful. Okay, so we're going to look at a video of the H-bomb. And so the H-bomb was tested by the Soviets, and here is what that looks like. Alright, so you see you have the flash, and then the same thing as the atomic bomb. It goes into a mushroom cloud, but you can see how it goes up and then it pushes out. Okay, and so first will be the wave, the shock wave. Okay, and then all of this, you will see the firestorm. Okay, so that is the Zara bomb by the Soviets.
71 feet.
Here is the ICBM.
It weighs approximately 195,000 pounds. It is approximately 90 inches in diameter. The missile is a cold launch missile as opposed to a hot launch missile that a Minuteman is.
All right,
The Peacekeeper missile is ejected from the silo using a steam generating process. Once it is approximately 150 to 200 feet above the surface of the ground, then the engines of the missile ignite. Peacekeeper does have 10 independently retargeted vehicles as opposed to 3 for the Minuteman III.
So all of this is very, very dangerous, and even Dwight D. Eisenhower said himself, "Our arms must be ready for instant action. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. In government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted, unnecessary influence, whether sought or unsought by the military-industrial complex." That's spending too much money on military. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist. And America as a whole has already seen misplaced power in World War I and in World War II, and if you go back to the beginning of the time, you can always find someone that has misplaced power. So really think about this as you think about the arms race, and while it was beneficial for technology, what maybe did it do for freedoms and threatenings of freedoms? See you guys in class.